So today is the 25th episode. So I think we'll talk about that top 25 things that we've learned over 25 episodes, I guess, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you write any down or are you
of
going to
course
just go
not.
off the cuff?
And
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
covered in sweat because I was trying to work out before this. So, so I'm going off the top of my head.
Okay, good. Well, you've got all of that energy and adrenaline that's working for you, and hopefully it will tap into your memory cells. And I'm going to rely on my list, which I did not get to 25. So, well, between the
Uh,
two of us,
Between the two of us, we should come up with 25 things, I
we
think, right?
should. I think so.
Okay.
So happy 25, Adrian.
Well, happy for 25, Kate, to you too. This is awesome. Can you believe that we've done 25 episodes?
I can't believe it. And I think we should set a goal for ourselves that um okay, so obviously we want to get at least 24, 25 more episodes, more than that, definitely.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think we should set a goal for ourselves that we get 25 reviews on our
Ooh.
because I think we may have hit at least between the two or three platforms now that we're on YouTube too.
Mhm.
That many individual viewer listeners. Um, and I know we have three reviews, two with words, because I
Okay.
think they count like if you just do like how many stars,
Mhm.
and then two people who left reviews, and one of them is my dad. So thanks, Dad.
Aw, hey, Dad. That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so if you're listening, please help us reach our goal and let's get 25 reviews. And we appreciate hearing from you and your feedback. And yeah, we
Yeah,
can share this with more
definitely.
people.
Excellent. Yeah, because I think when people review, it helps push us forward as far as
Hmm.
like it just showing up on people's feeds. So I
Yeah.
think that's something that, especially because just in my own Spotify can see like because I follow our own podcasts,
Right.
I get more and more rowing podcasts kind of popping up. So hopefully more rowers are at least seeing it in their little feeds. And if people are liking and following, then that definitely helps that. So yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. And I
Yeah.
think I think back to, like why we started too,
Hmm.
like going to get the dumpster double and having that idea of just kind of like, yeah, we're gonna do a podcast. We should do a podcast. And the fact that like I think we have to give ourselves props. The fact that like we thought of doing it and we did it, like,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think that could be our number one thing of the 21
Ooh, I like that.
25. That when you and just in general, I guess it's just like a general life lesson. Sometimes the easiest way to get something done is just to do it.
That's
You
right.
and to be honest, I didn't know how to edit a podcast or create a podcast, before we did this. And so it kind of pushed me forward to to figure it out. And then Kate, you jumped in and like figured out how to do what is it, the feeds, the RSS.
Oh yeah, the RS feeds. Yeah, that took me a
Yeah,
little while. Yeah. But
yeah, yeah.
we both learned. I mean, you've been doing a lot more and then you've got an editor now too. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I've got
thank
somebody
you.
who's doing it for me now. But it's always good, like before you hand something off, to be able to
Hmm.
like know the process yourself.
Right.
I know that's like kind of a hard way to learn and do things where you're like, well, I'll just do this like difficult thing and figure it out. And then I'm like, oh, once I figure it out, I'm gonna give it to somebody else to do. But for people out there who are interested in starting their own podcast, it's really not as complicated. And if you want some help, let us know. We'll let you know
Hmm.
how we started this and how we got everything edited to start out. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think doing it with a friend definitely helps,
yes,
and the accountability and we do it, we have kind of built it into our routine. So that
yeah.
helps too.
Yep. So that's our second thing, right?
Yeah, I
Just
think so.
uh, um, the third thing. Let me think. What else did we learn?
You want me to go to my list?
Yeah. Go to your left.
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right, I
drink
have
some of
it.
my protein shake here.
There you go. Okay. All right, I only got to 15, I think, but okay. Okay. Wow, this is not starting off very good because I did not look this up, but I know we can look it up.
Mhm.
So in our first episode, we talked about and we said we would follow up, and I'm not sure if we ever did on this particular piece of information.
Okay.
The founding date of West Side Rowing Club was something that we were talking about and we said we would follow up on. So let's just do that now. And then if you think of some like maybe think of their next things, but
Mhm.
I've got my computer up here, so I'm gonna look that up. And we talked about it just being our intro episode because we were just talking about how we met and we met rowing at Buffalo and I don't know, somehow we got on the topic of like the history of rowing in
Awesome.
Buffalo in the
Yeah.
general area.
Mhm.
So let's see if I can get that.
Yeah, West Side is a big part of, our rowing story. Without University of Buffalo, but without West Side actually being the venue that we rowed out of, there wouldn't have been much rowing besides on the rowing machines. So I think that the time that we spent underneath the Peace Bridge, which I think I mentioned that in that episode that the Spectrum, the UB paper wrote like this whole article
Mhm.
on rowing, and it was like a picture of us in under the like we were under the Peace Bridge, and the headline was UB crew rowing all the way to the Peace Bridge or something like that. Something like absolutely ridiculous because the Peace, if anybody knows the area, the Peace Bridge is like nowhere. It's like, I mean, it's like you're
It's
doing that.
like,
You've done the pick drill and you're under the Peace
yeah,
Bridge. So,
pretty much.
so it was
Not that
comical.
impressive.
Yeah, it's not very impressive at all. It wasn't like we were rowing like super far away. It was it was literally like within the first 5 minutes of practice, we were at the Peace Bridge. So,
Woo. All
um,
right. Yeah, I got the history pulled up and
um,
good job to West Side. They've got a nice history page. So, if you had to guess, what year do you think West Side started?
uh, like 1900 something? Is that way too early?
A little bit, but all right. So 1912 is what they
Okay.
have listed. So
Okay.
coming into the 20th century, Buffalo, New York was a prosperous city. By 1912, the Buffalo Association of Amateur Oarsmen
Mm,
recognized several rowing clubs, including the Mutual Rowing Club, the Celtic Rowing Club,
mm,
and the Lighthouse Rowing Club. When the BAAO met on August 26, 1912, to accept entries for upcoming Labor Day Regatta, the entry of Louis Peterson of the West Side Rowing Club was submitted. This was the first time West Side had ever been heard of.
wow.
And so, if you want to check out more about West Side's history, they have a history page. It's kind of lumped in to different time periods. I know there was a big fire. It used to be located in a different section of where they row. So,
Mhm.
maybe back then it would have been a process. Not really. It's still only like maybe 1,000 meters from
Yeah.
the Peace Bridge, but just upstream. I guess that's upstream. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. Um, and then they moved after a big fire in 1975. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, still impressive. Still love
Hmm.
West Side. Shout out to West Side, and we still need to work on because West Side is helping the UB experience, and we need to reach out to Andy and
Yeah.
get him on the show. So we're still working on that.
Yeah.
And that's probably so. This was that number four. This number five would be
Oh,
working on guests, right?
yes,
So
definitely.
getting guests for the show, like coming up with the idea is easy, but then coordinating time is always
Hmm.
the hardest, the hardest thing. And I think that we're getting better at it, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of following up because you send somebody an
Yeah.
email or a text and it falls to the bottom of the pile eventually, so you
Hmm.
just have to kind of always be refreshing and sending that note back out and suggesting times. I'm trying to be better about that. Whenever I'm like, oh, we should meet, I'm always like, now I try to put a time on it. Like, we should
Hmm.
meet Sunday at blah, 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 just to try to push that forward. So it's definitely something that we're learning. So,
Yeah. It's tough this during I think maybe during especially the month of May and maybe eventually that month of October.
mhm.
It's hard to coordinate that if you're still involved in the world of crew. So for like coaches that we've asked and just like parents of rowers, including myself, and
Mhm.
it's there's just so much going on. So, but now that we're getting out of that, definitely hopefully we can make those connections. I know we've got a bunch of people that are very interested and lined up,
Yeah,
and yeah, we'll get there.
we'll get there. We'll get there. It's just a matter of getting everybody on the calendar.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right. Do you want me to go to my next one? Let's see
sure.
what else I got.
Was this number six?
This is number, oh shoot, I think this is five. I'm trying to write them down so I can like use them later. Um, so I used the word, so this is like clearing up some things. I
Hmm.
used the word bucolic as describing Augusta, and I think that was probably wrong. So I don't know the right word to describe Augusta. Probably
Hmm.
not bucolic, but it's yeah, it's a gritty town.
Yes, yes. I think there's that idea of like, when people think of Augusta, they think of the Masters and
Yes.
think of like, and so like I remember when we said that, like traveling the spring trip was going to be in Augusta. And I remember being like, oh, like my dad really likes golf and I should go to the golf course to pick something up for him. And I remember when we arrived in Augusta, I'm like, this is Augusta? No, no, no. And we're talking about
Hmm.
Augusta early 2000, so it's probably way different
Yeah,
now.
we have no idea.
So, but like we like arrived and it was a sleepy kind of
Hmm.
place and, not much going on. And, I remember, I don't know if it was the first trip or the second trip where I actually went to the golf course. And
Hmm.
it was, and I don't know if this is right. I don't know if I remember this correctly. There was one other girl on the team who wanted to pick up something from the golf course. I think we went in the bus. Remember did we ride a bus like a big it must have been my senior year, like a passenger bus or something like that. I don't know, like kind of one of those buses that you like old school used to take to like ski trips. Like I
Yeah,
think of what the type of name of it. It was not a school bus, but a travel bus.
I don't know.
And
I'm
I
trying to
remember it was
think
like
because
me and like one other girl and I think
hmm
maybe Meg and the three of us went over to the golf course and like it was weird because when we arrived, they don't let you in because of course, it's like it's like the most gorgeous
hmm
private club, and like we're just rolling up. And then,
in a bus.
so I think it was really cute because I think the security guard, because they couldn't you can't even go into the pro shop, like it's like that kind of
Oh.
exclusive club. So I
Hmm.
think the security guard went to the pro shop for us and picked up like I think like I got like a calendar where it was like each hole was like a month.
Hmm.
Um and then I think it was like because there's 18 holes, so it was like an 18-month calendar. And it's crazy that I remember these random things. I can't remember what I made for dinner yesterday or what I'm gonna make for dinner tomorrow or if I bought certain groceries, but I can remember this story. And then we got like those little pin markers like for when you golf, like you mark your
I think
ball.
so. I'm not a golfer,
Um
but I think I know what you're talking about.
I think we got teas or something that and they
Hmm.
all had like the Masters emblem on them and that kind of thing. But I remember like that area is gorgeous, like just like
Hmm.
really beautiful and like I said, ultra exclusive. Wouldn't even let us in the gates. But like I said, the security guard was super nice and
Hmm.
went and got us some things. And so that's what stands out when I talk about like Augusta, like what everybody thinks it looks like, and like what it actually looked like when we arrived there in the early 2000s. Like I said, no,
Hmm.
no, I haven't been back to Augusta in, I don't know, I guess it would be 25 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, who knows what it's like now? I
Yeah,
have no
probably. I mean,
idea.
yeah, every place changes over 25 years, so I'm sure it's way
Hmm.
different. But
Yeah.
yeah, back in 2000, that's kind of how Augusta was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else I got. Okay, so in episode two, this goes back to something that you had posted recently, but you were talking about restringing your double to
Ugh.
the pair and learning more about that and working on that. So,
Oh my gosh,
do you
what a
feel like you've
mess.
learned?
Yes, I've totally learned like, if your boat has steering, don't take it out. Like when I called because like okay, back up. So dumpster double, the one Kate helped me bring to my house. When I originally repaired it, it had a break in the stern. Like so somebody had dropped the stern on the dock. so the stern was like broken, like basically in half. Like there was only parts of it that were kind of still holding on, and it broke right around the stern cap. So at the time, the steering was exposed. And so I could take like, and I was like, I'm not going to use this toe steering. Like, um, it wasn't very like the setup wasn't very neat. You know how sometimes the setup can be kind of neat for like it's not bulky and kind of in the way. The steering in the double was a little bit bulky. It was a little bit in the way. The shoes were really big. Like I just was like, I'm just not going to use this. So I decided to just to save myself the headache of people getting caught on the strings or whatever. I'm gonna take it all out. So I called Wintech and I was like, how should I do this? And they said, well, the easiest way to do it is to pull the strings into the stern, tie them up real nice, and then secure them. Because like I said, the stern was open.
Hmm.
So I wasn't working through a stern cap. And so because that was part of the repair I had to do. So I took everything and I kind of like taped it in there so that all the strings, everything was inside the stern of the boat, happy as a clam, not a problem. Um, come rowing in color, I just wasn't finding time rowing sweep, so I was okay. Let's put the pair riggers on, and then I had to restring it, and then that became like a whole thing because the stern cap is like I don't know what like the size of a very small like teacup saucer. And like you think your arm isn't that big, but like you have to stick your arm in and then through, and there's just like not enough like arm and like the angle and not to mention that I the repair is around there so like there's like frayed like really sharp pieces of fiberglass tape that are
Mm.
epoxied and basically like razors now so when you stick your arm in there it's basically like scratch all the way up your arm
Oh.
so it was just ridiculous. So when I put the strings in, I called Wintech again. They're like, well, you're gonna have to string it from the bow into the stern and then let the strings drop down so that they hang so you can catch them so you can reattach them to the yoke. So of course I, wasn't thinking about it and we did it with the boat guts up.
Mm.
So this was the problem, and this is where I've learned.
Hmm.
You have to do it guts down so that the strings run up against the top of the deck,
Hmm.
so that when you flip it, the strings aren't like stuck on anything. And so if anyone saw that video, you would have seen that the strings had gotten stuck on like two of like the little supports. And so that's what made the steering so difficult to turn. And I think that may have, there's two things that may have happened. That, like the extra tension on the yoke may have like, because there's the support now, and the support is like shifted up. It's broken.
Oh.
I've got to call Wintech and figure out how to fix that because now the boat wants to go to port, and I think it's because the support is up on the side and it
Hmm.
shifted the like it's 2 degrees. The rudder right now is I think it's 2 degrees to starboard. So I believe that's what's causing the port,
Mm.
like it wanting to be towards port. So and then but then it also the fin has a big like chunk out of it. The fin's made out of carbon. So
Hmm.
like so I know I didn't hit anything. My rowing partner, she takes the boat out too. It's been really like loggy out there. I'm not blaming anybody, but that might be the reason why the support on the yoke is broken. But I did my the long story long of that
It's
is,
okay.
is that I did learn that you have to restring it guts down,
Guts
not
down.
guts up. Guts down.
Good. I never would have thought of that. So that's lots of patience, I think, was involved in that.
Oh
So
my gosh. It just took like an hour it took several hours to like actually string it the first
hmm.
time. It took like an hour and a half to get it just right so that and then they have to come through and then they have to cross too.
Hmm.
So you have to make sure that they're not looping around each other. You have to do like a clear cross and it has to be just right on the rudder. So, yeah. But yeah, so now it's like, yeah, it's broken in there, and I don't know what because with it shifted now, the only way to like in my mind, the only way to fix it would be to like put something in it so that it expands, and then the two pieces can go back to where they should be. But it's broken, so I don't know. I don't know what their idea is gonna be. Like I can't imagine that I can put like a metal piece in there. Like I probably would have to put like I would probably have to take out the piece that's in there and then put a piece in and then like turn it and shimmy it and like kind of hammer it so then it pushes the like the bolt back out. I don't, it doesn't sound like a repair that I can do at
And
this
it sounds
point.
very complicated within that little hole to get it
Yeah, the hole
there.
is so small. And like,
Hmm.
I mean, like I don't have like I have pretty like large size hands. So like, I mean, I guess I could ask my daughter to help me because her hands are a little bit smaller, or Mikey with his like you need small hands and a little dexterity to kind of like I struggled. I really struggled
Hmm.
with the fine motor that you need in order to work through a stern cap.
Well, and you probably can only have one hand in there too.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
there were times where I was like, I had like a fi one finger, then I was like spinning, like little like there's these little they're like I don't know, they're just like little pins that you have to put in, then you have to spin them so that they go. There's like a little loop that goes around the string. It was yeah, it's pretty complicated. And then even after I finished it, I wasn't happy
Hmm.
with like the shoe and the actual like toe steering is still really tight.
Hmm.
I think it might be because of course the boat sat upside down in a ditch for God knows how long. I think that the actual components between the shoe and the toe steering are like really. I don't know if I could put like some WD-40 in there maybe to like kind
Hmm.
of like oil it up or something because the shoe is really hard to turn. Not to mention it's a size 13, so there's like it's like so much shoe, you can't rotate the
Yeah.
shoe enough to get some really good steering out of it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like in a quad, like the hull is just wider. You know,
Hmm.
I toe steered a quad the other day and I was like, this is way easier than toe steering in my boat, but
Hmm.
it's because there's more room, there's just more hull.
Right.
You bump up against the but again, do you need to really turn the rudder all that much? I mean, it's just a double, so you're not trying to like you need all that when you're in the quad because the boat's like 50 feet long where you're talking about a double being somewhere in the 25 what is no 35 feet long. It's just a little bit longer than a single, right?
Yeah. I don't actually know. I mean,
Oh,
yes, it's longer than a single, but I don't know
yeah.
how much
It's
more.
not significant. I don't think it's significantly
Yeah.
longer. Because the only reason I say that is because the my single fits in the garage diagonal, and that was a whole
Yes.
story too. And
Yep.
then but the double almost fit in the garage diagonal. It was very close. It was probably off by like a foot or two. It wasn't bad. So
Double.
um
Oh, I'm gonna add that as number 7.
okay.
All
All right.
right. All right. So correction that I have to make. I think I made it in a later episode. But during episode 2 again. I did mention that Kelsey, who was our coxswain for the Head of the Charles in 2021, was a high school student. I think I just left out context. I knew she was not a high school student at the time, but that's when I knew her. She was a coxswain for us for our master's group when she was in high school, and then at the time that she coxed us, she was a coxswain at Nazareth, and they were not racing at the Head of the Charles. So that's why she was able to cox us at the Head of the Charles. But while I was re-listening to that episode, I did notice that I left out information that would have been accurate, and I just wanted to clear that up. Episode 3, I'm not sure if you have any information on this, but I'm kind of curious. How did your cousin do at Alabama? Did she
Oh,
stick with the team? Did she like it?
so
You-
she made it through two sets of walk-on cuts and didn't make
Okay.
the third cut. So,
Ah, okay.
so she didn't end up rowing with them. But just to make it through two cuts at Alabama,
Yeah.
I mean, like I was super impressed with her, and um, that's a tough program. I mean, they were working very hard. So, I was super excited. I was like, oh, I hope she makes it. But I knew because it's such a dynamic and large program that to get there as a walk-on is really rough. So really tough to do. So shout out to Amanda. Great job. It's still a win. Oh my gosh, to make it
Yeah.
to the first cut, to make it to the second one. I mean, it's still a big win. So she's not rowing right now. She is studying physical therapy. So
Oh.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I was like, well, maybe in the next, because she starts this, well, she's done 1 year at Alabama, so now she has 5 years left because it's a 6-year program.
Hmm.
So in 5 years, hopefully Rowing on the Square will have a Alabama division, and hopefully she'll be the physical therapist for it.
Awesome.
I'll just put that out there for now. So the rowing story hasn't ended for Amanda. I don't know
Okay.
if she knows this yet. That
Surprised.
surprise, you're not going to row on the rowing team for Alabama, but your Auntie Adrian is definitely going to make it happen. So she's going to have to learn rowing over the next 5 years.
Yeah. And then we'll have her on. We'll invite her
Yes,
on to talk about
yes,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that'd
Cool.
be cool just to have her on to talk about the tryout process.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So the one I mentioned, this must have been something we were talking about during an episode. Did write it underneath episode 3. And I would say my daughter can relate to this after her nationals experience. Um, Equipment failure happens, and if something dramatic is going to happen, most likely it's going to happen right at the end of the race. So that was way before her nationals experience, and I'm like I've talked about it so many times that I can't remember if I actually talked about it in an episode that we recorded. But she at the end of her race, there was so much wind and waves and everything, and her oar just kind of got away from her and caused the crab, and then the crab caused the oar to break right in the middle of the shaft. And then we had talked in previous episodes, like you knew a kid that the rigger broke during a singles race, and I knew a kid that that happened to last year at States, all at the very end of the race. And,
Oh,
very like usually it's like where everyone can actually see you,
we can see
which is like
you.
such a small percentage of the race.
I mean, this kid, I think he had maybe, I don't know, like 30 meters left.
Hmm.
It was like literally, I was like, if it was warm enough, I would have said, swim the boat to the finish line just to
Yeah.
finish the race. I mean, it was that close to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's always so tough,
It
like,
is.
and you just don't know. I mean, like this equipment, like it's sturdy and, but
Hmm.
it does age, and there's certain things that just, certain pressures, they're intensile pressures that, like, you just happen to put it underneath the stress that would break it. You know what I mean? Every other
Yep.
direction it would be completely strong in, but you just hit it just the right way and boom, broken.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I failed. So, we might have to get back to this one again. We talked about this. I'm just going to say this. We definitely cleared it up in an episode. I don't have it up in front of me, so I'm going to take a guess. But we also talked about when did UB rowing start? Um, and we know when it started as a varsity sport, it was 1997. We know
Hmm.
when it ended as a varsity sport, it was 2017.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure while I was doing all this, like collecting information for hopefully that's a project I can get back to soon, the history of UB rowing,
Hmm.
I want to say it was like 1989, but I am guessing at that again. We did talk
Yeah.
about it, so
Hmm.
I have to clear that one up once and for all.
And I think all of the clothes that I have like the UB school starting date. Like I think it's like 18 something. I don't
Like
know.
for, yeah, for SUNY Buffalo. Okay, so that one
When
we
does
could
SUNY
probably look
Buffalo
up.
start? Because I know, like, I wore my old school sweatshirt the other day, and that one is the one with the buffalo on top of the shield with the oars behind it, the cool
Yep.
one. Um, and then there's the one where it's just the bull. And then
Yeah.
we had the bee with the it wasn't the navy blue bee anymore. It was the royal blue bee.
Hmm. Yeah, so the school, so University at Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
UB,
Mm-hmm.
SUNY at Buffalo.
Doing it Buffalo.
I don't know how many ways you can say it.
Not Buff
Uh,
State.
Not Buff State.
To make it even more
Was
confusing.
Yeah,
Buff State.
was founded in 1846.
Yeah, that's what's on. Like, I have a buffalo hat that says like Buffalo Crew, and it says 1846 on it. And then the sweatshirt, that's what it says on it.
Hmm.
Um, But like there, I mean, that's something to talk about too, because when we went from club to Division One, there was a whole change in the in like the unis and the sweatshirts, the jackets, everything. Like, and I don't know if we couldn't use the emblem anymore. Like the it was like a shield
Mhm.
with a buffalo standing on top of it. I don't know if somebody created that. Um,
I think I have it right here, to
oh
be
my
honest.
goodness. Because I was about
It's
to, yeah, I was about to go into my closet and grab it, but you got it.
it's a little faded, so it's hard to see.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about with the yeah, with the buffalo on top and then it says UB and yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if
that
I can
one
get
was
any
cool.
closer because it's
No, 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 that's
definitely
perfect. I
worn out.
think
And then on the back we got the B.
we got the B. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. But let me go. I don't know if I have it. I may have worn it this week. Is that bad? Well, I went to Pittsford Regatta and I think I wore the first day, I think I wore that one. The second day, I think I wore the other one. But the
Hmm.
one from when we were Division One had the bull on it
Yes.
with the smoke coming out the nose. And I was always remember because like because we're girls and bulls are boys, so we're like the UB cows. I
Let
don't know
me,
if you remember.
yeah, I got the hat. So let me go grab the hat. We're doing a little
Okay.
fashion show, but
Yeah, a little fashion show. So like, yeah, we joked about being the UB cows because bulls are guys and yeah.
all right. So yeah, but I think this is definitely indicative of the time frame.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they use this version of Victor Ebel anymore. And I actually
Yeah.
don't even know if he was named Victor Ebel at the time.
Oh, that's a cool hat. I don't think I
You
have
know,
that hat.
it is, but it's kind of a funny hat. It like sits weird. So it's like
Oh.
the brim is like kind of wonky. So I don't wear it, but I have it.
You know
So
what? I wish I still had my unis. I got rid of my unis at one point.
I have no idea where they
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
I kept the sweatshirts. The sweatshirts were quality. I still wear them.
Hmm.
I mean, like they're nice
Yeah.
sweatshirts. Good hoods, big long strings, and like back
Hmm.
then, like nothing was slim fit, so you could always put something underneath it.
Yeah.
I wore my UB Crew jacket. That
Hmm.
one's the old school one because I got my jacket. I think I got it the end of freshman year. I got the crew jacket. So I have the old one. I don't have the one with the bull on. I have the one with the emblem.
I
And my
don't know
name's
which
not
one.
on it. I remember
Oh.
I used to have a vest.
Yeah,
And
I have a vest, blue, like
yeah,
the
blue,
royal blue.
yeah, like a royal
Hmm.
blue vest. I must have gotten rid of that at one point. Did we have pants? I remember
We had pants. Yep.
yeah, I don't have the pants
That
anymore.
they were like, I think I had tearaway pants. Like
Oh
there was
yeah,
sort of
they're
like, or like the buttons, like you just go and they come off. And then I think I have ones that just have the zippers on the side. So
uh,
those are like gray. And I think I still have those somewhere
yeah,
handy-ish. And then the blue ones, I don't know. They might be in a bin somewhere. The sweatpants that were given to us from like like they were issued to us because there was times when we ordered stuff.
yeah.
And then there was times when like
Stuff was
being a
issued.
varsity
Yeah,
sport,
yeah.
like I always remember how cool that was. And I'm not keeping track of any of this as like
We've lost track of
numbers.
how many. Yeah.
But I always thought it was so cool that we would be given like certain like, t-shirts, shorts,
Yeah.
sweatpants, sweatshirt, and like that was just our issued garb and sneakers too. And
We
then
had
you had
sneakers. I don't remember sneakers.
yeah, we had sneakers.
Maybe that was your
Oh, were
senior
they
year.
Reebok? I think they were Reebok.
Oh,
They
really?
weren't, I don't
Huh.
remember them being great, but they were just given to us. Well, they gave us those huge pins,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would have to secure, like, put everything through the pin, and then you'd be able to put it in the laundry, and then they would put it into your
In your locker.
issued
Yeah.
locker bin,
Yeah.
and then it's like, wow, that's pretty
That
cool.
was fancy. I remember that being, did we have bags? Did we get book bags?
I still have my bag. I have a
Oh,
huge bag.
I wonder where my bag went. That doesn't seem like
Hmm.
something I would get rid of, but
No.
I don't have the bag from UB. I have the bag from when I coached for Narden.
Hmm.
Narden liked to do stuff like that. So they had these, I saw this really cool Adidas like travel bag.
Hmm.
and it says like Nard and Crew on the side, and then on the top it said like it just said A Reedy on top, but like yeah, really
Nice.
cool, nice like type of bag you could like take on the plane and just like
Yep.
the kids still throw stuff in that bag. That bag is still floating around. But I remember having a UB bag and I don't know what I did with it. It must have ripped or something because I'm the type of person who holds on to stuff like that. Like what I
Yeah.
still
I
have
don't think
is
I
the
have it here.
when we got the letter jacket. The letter jacket is sitting
Oh,
in a bin of like
Adrian.
memorabilia. Yeah,
All right.
I think it's
Next
I
next
think
episode, let's both wear it because I have mine.
yeah, oh yeah. Okay, next episode, we are gonna put these crazy jackets on. I think
We could
mine's
never
nice
wear it.
because it tags on it.
Like when would we wear it, right? I mean, it's kind
Oh,
of like just for nostalgia, but like when am I
you know
gonna
what the
ever
best
wear it?
gift was? I think freshman year you got the watch. I think I still have the watch, but it totally
I don't
doesn't work.
remember a watch.
Yeah, it was, and like I said, I have like kind of largish hands and my wrists are kind of big. I'm sturdy. So so the wristwatch was too small. I remember being like kind of bummed that it was too small. I couldn't wear it back where you didn't have like, you didn't have your wearable on. Um, but the second year gift, the sophomore gift
What did we
was
get?
the best gift. Do you know what that gift was?
Well, that's when I would have been there. Or are you
Mhm.
saying that all sophomores every year got the same gift?
I think all sophomores every year got the same gift.
What was it? I don't remember.
It was a UB blanket. It was
Ah,
a UB
why don't I
blanket and
have it?
it had the emblem on it and it said
Hmm.
University of Buffalo. It was the kind not a super large blanket, the kind you could like throw on your shoulders at a regatta kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like a
And
fleece, like it
it
was
was a
like a
fleece
blue
blanket,
fleece.
and
I
it
think I do
came with
remember that.
this really cool, like it was like a little holder for it. So
Oh
if you
yeah.
took the blanket and you folded it just right and you rolled it up, you could put the
Hmm.
holder on there, and then the holder had a little handle. And what I
Yes.
would do is I would put that on, like I would always bring it to school. Like I remember junior year, like being like on South Campus, and I lived on North Campus still. So we'd go to practice. I'd go to directly to school because we had like an 8 a.m. class, like for PT and OT. Like, so Nicole and I had to go to class cold, wet,
Hmm.
with Cheerios and like in a little baggie to eat in the back of the classroom. And the blanket, I would have that there because if I remembered to bring dry clothes, I would change into my dry clothes. But then if I was tired, I would go into the library and get one of those quiet rooms. And I
It's
reserved the quiet room for like an hour and sleep with the little blanket
oh,
for me. So it was my favorite gift because it was like I used it like every day. Like every day. I was sleeping and like either it made like a really great pillow and you
hmm.
could just like fall asleep in the library or like at a desk or yeah, like full cuddle up and like in a chair, hiding in the quiet room so nobody would because you're supposed to study in them. And so I'm
Hmm.
sure they didn't want people sleeping in there, but like
Yeah.
I couldn't go back to the North Campus. It was too much.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of classes, time in between, so I just fall asleep with my little
Yeah.
blanket.
That's nice. And you had your little system. I remember having a system in college and it was like um so I'm kind of happy that this is kind of back, like the bootcut jeans, right? That had to fit
Yeah.
you just right because you talk about skinny jeans, they could be a little long, a little short, like
Yeah.
still works. Usually
Hmm.
you don't notice. And then wide leg, yeah, you kind of have to have it right so it's not dragging. But the
Yeah.
boot cut had to fit around your big wide like wide footprint
Shoe.
shoe, like sneaker,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then you had my uniform in college was, I had my sneaker, my bootcut jeans,
Hmm.
usually a sweatshirt, my UB sweatshirt that I just showed, or some other
Hmm.
sweatshirt
Yeah.
with my vest on top. And
Hmm.
we're talking like below freezing in Buffalo. That was
Hmm.
what I would wear. And I had my messenger bag. That was like big back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
I did not have a book bag. I had the messenger bag with the one side, like crossbody.
Oh, yeah.
And on the messenger bag, because those do not have like water bottle pockets,
Hmm.
I would take my Nalgene bottle and unscrew the top, and that would be hanging from my messenger bag.
Yeah.
And that was like the look. I mean, we
Oh my
didn't
gosh.
have Instagram, but back then that would be the outfit of the day for
Oh my
Kate.
gosh. And when you say messenger bag, I remember finding a messenger bag that said row on it and had oars.
Oh.
And so mine was, it was like, and there was like that army greenish kind of tan. As soon as you mentioned it, I was like, I remember this bag. And it was like, I mean, like, just like, you put everything in there. You had all your stuff in there,
Yeah.
your heads, like your headphones and and your
The plug-in
Discman,
ones.
your
This
Discman,
man. Yeah.
and like everything else
Yeah.
that you would need, your SUNY card,
Mm-hmm.
your Nalgene, like yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
remember it. We were styling. We were,
We
we had
thought we
places
were.
to go, people to see, and things to do.
Yeah, I always used to think it was really cool because it is such a big college that um if you saw somebody that you knew, it was like a big deal, right?
Yeah,
You're like, "Oh
yeah.
my God." You're like, "Adrian!" Like like it would be. And then I think it was actually it's funny, he probably doesn't remember this, but Dave Casano, one of the years, I don't know which year, we always used to see each other at the same time, same place, because we probably had like whatever classes we had, it was just always passing each other in the hallway. And
Yeah,
it just, I think about how because it's not like this so much, at least from what I see at a school that I work at, which is like about 6,000 students.
hmm
But UB is so big and it was in Cape and Hall. So it's a very
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the hallways were very tight, almost like a high
hmm
school, like
hmm
very closed in. And you got so many people walking back and forth at that changing of times. And I'd always see them like, Dave, because it's like, wow, out of all these thousands of people, I know one of them by
hmm
sight,
Yep. Yep.
which is not what you have at a small college. You pretty much like know who everyone is. So it's not that big of a deal. It's not like you're shouting out everybody you know. But at a big school, again, that was another point that we made during one of our previous podcasts was that rowing made UB feel so much smaller because you
Yeah.
have that community. But at a big school, it's sometimes you got to find that, or it can be very challenging.
Yeah. And the fact that UB was so big, when we saw each other at practice, sometimes it's the only time you would see that person.
Hmm.
Like I could
Yeah.
definitely, there were definitely people I didn't see on campus because like especially like I mean like Courtney
Hmm.
and oh, I'm having trouble with names this morning. Isn't that horrible? I remember these great stories, and I'm like, can't think of the person's name. But like Courtney was, she did arts and stuff, so she was over
Yeah.
like, so like I'd see her at practice, but I wouldn't see her during the day
Hmm.
because I was down at South Campus, or I was on the far end of North Campus, like
Hmm.
over in like the science building.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's just some people you just didn't see them during the day, like you only saw them at practice.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. But it was, I mean, it was fun. It like you
Hmm.
said, it made you be that much smaller, that much more of a community. And yeah, we had a really fun experience. So, I mean,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. All right, we'll do a few more because I know we're not going to make it to 25.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay. We can roll it into the next episode if we think of more stuff.
That's true. That's a good
Yeah.
point. And I think I don't know what to call the last segment. We'll say memories at UB or I don't know, something like that. I did write freebies from UB, memories at UB,
Yeah.
outfit of the day. All
Okay.
right.
Yay.
Um, So we did mention like we talked about trying to get an alumni boat together. We talked about it for the Charles. I know in past episodes we talked about it maybe for the Genesee again.
Yeah.
Something we should definitely keep out, keep trying for. We'd love to hear from people who would be interested in doing that,
Yeah.
and how to get that organized. So let's keep trying for that. Um, Keeping people in the sport after they're done with college rowing, and we talked about how challenging it can be if you only do sweep, um, to get comfortable in the smaller boats, and then like doing like the return to row regatta or event. So again, on our list to do, maybe that would be fun, like a fun event to plan,
Yeah.
to try to do it in one of our locations, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do, if people are interested, we could do like kind of like a little summer return to row, maybe Saturday come out to Rochester, and they've got plenty of small boats, and we can get out doubles and the quad and stuff like that and go for a row. I could arrange that. We could make that happen. So
Okay.
if people are interested, if you the only requirement is you have to know how to row already. We're not teaching anybody how to row. You need to know how that the blade goes in at the catch and comes out at the finish. If you don't know sculling, we can figure that out. But you have to have rowing experience. And so
Hmm.
like I think like it's low hanging fruit. Like if you
Hmm.
know the motion and everything, it's just a little bit of coordination with the hands. And I
Hmm.
feel like people pick it up really quickly and it's fun. And if we could get some people to return to row, that would be amazing.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that. All right. Um, so we did mention this, teaching coxswains is important. And I think if there are any coaches out there, coxswains out there, like um, getting educated as a coxswain as opposed to just being part of a team, I think is definitely something that if you're a coach, definitely explore that, talk to people about that, see if there's other people that you can learn from, any kind of US rowing certification or classes that you can take, or just even like online resources. I know that I follow like a Instagram account of Coxon Resources that has like recordings from like there's tons of recordings. It's all on like a Google sheet and it's very easy to access. If you're a coxswain, use that because I think it can be so good and it's not always something that every team focuses on. But I think it can make such a difference on a team. So just wanted to get back to that idea too.
Yeah, we should do a coxswain episode. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find maybe see if Kelsey will join us or find somebody. I'm trying to think of so Courtney was a coxswain, so she can
Mhm.
talk about that from her perspective. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Yeah, maybe if you have anybody or if anybody is listening, if you want to recommend somebody. I think it'd be good to hear from coxswains.
Yeah, because it's a hard job, and I mean, both of us. I mean, you've tried it before, and I've
Mm,
done it, and it's it's not easy. Like you think you did, like the words would flow a little bit more, and
mhm,
that like because there's just a lot going on. I mean, you're trying to steer, you're trying to give feedback. I had a kid reach out on Instagram to me, and I was like, "What are you working on?" He's like, "Well, I'm in a bow coxed four." And he's only been coxing for a short period of time, and he's like, can you give me any tips for learning more about how to instruct the crew and to give more technical work? And I'm like, well, the hard part is that when you're a bow coxswain, like you're coxing from feel,
mhm.
because you can't necessarily, like, you got to use your other senses. Like, you can't see what the oars are doing. You could wear a mirror and, you'd be able to kind of see that. But I mean, that kind of adds a whole nother level because you're supposed to be watching what you're doing because you got to steer,
Yeah.
so like knowing how to use your voice to help with timing and then being able to feel rush, like what's real rush and what's just general. Everybody's moving up to the catch and I'm gonna piston a little bit. That kind of thing. So I think it's really important just for coxswains to develop those skills, like you said, and be accessing those resources. Because as coaches, like if you haven't sat in the coxswain seat, I've never been in a bow coxed for. I have
Mm-mm.
no idea. So I just kind of go based off of what I would think you'd be feeling, but like to actually be like lying down in there, that's got to be one of the scariest things. Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old now. Like no, you couldn't stick me down in the bow of a boat. Like no, lying on my back, like basically being like torpedoed places. I don't know, not for me.
Hmm.
Put me in the stern. Put me in
Yeah,
the stern so I
I
can see
know.
what's going
And
on.
then like sitting on top of a life jacket because it's
Yeah,
bent.
being on the tuffet so that or I always have to sit like in a eight. I have to sit like side saddle. I have to like sit with like one hip down, one hip up because I just can't. There's just not enough hip room for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's challenging. All right. Well, I think we might have to cut it off there.
I know.
Um,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got through. I mean, we at least got through 10 or
I got 16 written down. I
oh
think
my
I
gosh,
got them all.
16.
So
Okay,
we're getting there.
yeah,
So we'll have to
we chat a little
continue.
bit. Yeah, we'll chat a little bit more about it on
Yeah.
the next podcast, and we'll kind of go from there. But super
Yep.
exciting. So we'll work on our guests. We
Hmm.
will keep working on our list of the 25 things that we learned,
Hmm.
and hopefully another 25 on its way.
Yeah, that's right. And leave us a review. Thank you if you
Yes.
do.
Yes, please let us know if you want to be on and
Hmm.
or if you want to hear about something in particular. We'll do some research and I promise that I will come prepared and not try to do my exercises 5 minutes before I get on the podcast recording.
Hey, at least we have, like we said in the beginning, we fit it in. We've got our schedule, we've got our routine, and if this was all we were doing, then we could
Gosh,
aim really high and like be super organized and prepared and know exactly what we're going to talk about. But we're doing this for fun, like, and hopefully that
yeah.
comes through. Like we're enjoying this. It's not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be a nice little fun time, a little release for us. So doesn't mean that we always have everything ready to go, but we're always ready to have some fun.
Yes, always ready for fun. Definitely. Well, have
All
a
right,
great
Adrian.
rest of the week
You too.
and we'll connect again next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.